Start with an opening statement.
All right, just wrapping up the Wyoming game. Obviously, it was a game that we just made way too many mistakes to deserve to win the football game. And, you know, we've got to do a much better job with ball security. We can't turn the ball over 6 times. We've got to do a better job in our red zone offense. You know, 3 times we got down there and we fumbled it, we threw a pick, and we missed the field goal. And then obviously the kicking woes, you know, popped up again with that mixed extra point in the blocked field goal. So, you know, I think it'd be very easy to say, you know, in a lot of ways it was characteristic of how we lost some games last year. You know, we lost four games in the last minute. You know, it'll keep coming up until we learn how to win those games. So, but I think in a lot of ways it was different than last year. I thought last year in some of those games, whether it was Miami or Temple or Buffalo or Troy, those were games that we were clearly outplayed for 4 quarters. And we were probably fortunate to be in a position to win the game. You know, this game, I mean, I thought our guys from scrimmage went toe-to-toe with Wyoming, and you know, we didn't get manhandled. We controlled most of the game at the line of scrimmage, and you know, we had 120 yards more of offense. This was clearly a game that we shot ourselves in the foot too much to win. So, you know, and I thought defensively overall our effort was, I don't think we played great on defense, but we probably played well enough to win. You know, we took an offense that was averaging 40 points, 45 points a game, and almost 550 yards a game, and it really held them to 1 touchdown drive. You know, they scored once on defense, and we gave them 2 short fields off of turnovers. So I think we've made progress on defense, and we've made progress on offense. We just obviously got to take care of the football, and we've addressed those issues, and hopefully it won't pop up again. But you know, there's no time to sit here and feel sorry for ourselves. We've got a huge game this week down in Oxford. We're playing the defending MAC champions, Miami. You know, they're a team that won the championship a year ago. They have 17 starters back. You know, they have one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, if not maybe one of the best quarterbacks in the country, in Dysart. He's an excellent player, and then you know, Harwell and Givens are as dangerous a 1-2 receiving combo in the conference. And they're playing in front of a veteran offensive line, and they've got a big back they can pound at you. And defensively, they've got a bunch of starters back, and you know, they've got some pro prospects over there too. So this is going to be a great challenge to go on the road in our MAC opener. I understand it's going to be sold out, so we're looking forward and getting excited to get down there and start MAC play.
A lot of coaches talk about putting the last moment in the pass and everything like that. But is it a good thing to maybe have your players remember the Wyoming game, all the lessons and everything?
Yeah, I mean, you put it in the past, but you've got to learn from it. And, you know, there's only a benefit from it if you don't repeat it. And, I mean, we've coached ball security all year. You know, why do you suddenly go out there and turn it over 6 times? I mean, I've had that happen a handful of times, you know, in my career. It happens. And we've got to coach it harder and address it. And, you know, we did that this week. And again, a lot of times, you know, it started to happen in the Morgan game. We turned it over 3 times against Morgan. And we addressed it and said if it doesn't get cleaned up, it's going to cost us a football game. And a week later, it cost us a football game. So, you know, we got to learn from it. And some things showed up on film that we got to get corrected. And, you know, if we don't, it'll happen again.
When you say coach it harder as far as ball security for this week, are there any additional drills or?
Yeah, we do. We start every practice every Monday. We do ball security drills. And we did that before the Wyoming game, and we did it after the Wyoming game. Sometimes when you turn the ball over 6 times, it brings a little truer with the players of how critical it is. You know, if you watch the Idaho game when Anton Samuel had his long run, you see how he had the ball high and tight, and he kept it pinned all the way down the sideline, and as soon as there was contact, he covered it up. That's how we teach it. You know, we got the eagle claw grip, got all the points of contact, and we always have the thing high and tight. And you know, in his fumble, he had the ball in his hip. So I don't care who you are. If you carry the ball low and on your hip, you're going to turn it over. So he knows what to do. He's just got to do it consistently every snap of every game. Because the one snap you don't do it, it can end up costing you big.
Coach, obviously Miami preseason favorites. Obviously it's an important game. Are you viewing this maybe as a measuring stick, sort of where your program is right now?
No, I mean it's a game that our goal is to get to Detroit to win the MAC East and win the MAC championship. And there's a great chance for that to happen. We need to win this game. So before Detroit, there's 8 steps to a championship, and you got to take each step, and this is step 1. So our goal at Bowling Green is and will always be to win the MAC East and play in the MAC championship game and win it. And for that to happen this year, this is a game that in all likelihood we need to win. The second you lose a conference game, you don't control your destiny. So it's a huge football game, and we're preparing. And we've told our players all week that this is a championship game. 2 years ago, our MAC opener was Ohio. We lost that game by 7 and dropped the pass late. And it's the first game of the year, and you're only one in the MAC. But if we win that football game, we're playing in Detroit. So you don't know which one it is, but every one is equally important, and we want to get off to. We want to be 1-0 in the MAC at this point next week.
Sure. And then Miami's defense. Obviously, you guys have put up some good numbers. How do you feel you'll be able to continue that against a pretty good defense?
Well, this is going to be the toughest challenge. This is, I think, across the board, probably the most talented defense we've faced this year. I mean, they held Missouri in check. They held Minnesota in check. They got a bunch of starters back from a year ago. They're physical up front. They run extremely well at linebacker. They've got a bunch of veteran guys that have played. They're good in the secondary. Their safeties are good tacklers. The corners cover well. I mean, they're a very good defense. And their defensive coordinator came from Kent last year, is excellent. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and their kids have picked up his scheme very quickly. So, anytime you have a talented group of players who are well coached, that makes a good defense. And they've put up excellent defensive numbers against the Big 12 and a Big 10 school. So it's they haven't played a couple of FCS schools and padded their stats. They've gone into Missouri and into Minnesota and played very good defense.
Dave, with so many young kids in the program, I mean, have any of these kids, or do you address the famous Miami whammy? Is that
No,
does that ring with kids now?
No, that we don't bring up the Miami whammy. We talk about at Bowling Green. We're part of a great football history and tradition, and part of that great history is we're very fortunate that we have 2 big rival games, the school to the north and the school to the south. And I've certainly talked about the history of this game and going back to the Dwight Perry, Dwight Perry era and Don Mueller when they were here. That for the decade of the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, this was the game, and it's still a very important game to us. And Coach John Hunter, who's on our staff, in his era, this was the game. And again, we're fortunate to have 2 rivals. Right now, the school of the north is probably the one that generates, maybe a little bit more interest, but this one is big as well. So this is, we certainly view this as one of our 2 rivals.
Coach, what are your thoughts on all this realignment stuff? I mean, especially like how it might affect MAC teams?
We're trying to get a first down. I mean, if I spend 5 minutes of my time wondering about whether Syracuse going to the ACC, I mean, those are things that are handled by our athletic director, Greg Christopher, and presidents, and I'm sure that they are aware of the landscape. And our job as coaches, and my job is to make sure we don't turn the football over 6 times. We can kick an extra point, and those are the things we're focused on. So. It's interesting. I'm not really, I heard the 2 schools left the Big East, and beyond that, I don't know much else what's going on. So I know we're still in the MAC, and our goal is to win the MAC.
Dave, as a fan of college football, though, what's your reaction when you see or hear these kinds of things going on?
It's a nice another way of asking the question. I think in a lot of ways it's sad because I think what makes this sport great and what makes college football great is the rivalries. You know, that we're very lucky that we have a school that's within a half an hour of us. That's a huge rivalry, and it's a game that we get excited about, our players get excited about. It's a great rivalry for Northwest Ohio. The Miami game this week, the school to the south is a great traditional rival. And, you know, when those types of things get broken up, for outside influences, I'm not convinced that's for the good of the game. You know, and right now that hasn't affected us here, but you know, there's a lot of traditional rivalries and great games that are no longer going to get played because of realignment. I think that's unfortunate. You know, those things I think to a degree are sacred in college football and should be preserved. And but obviously TV contracts and things like that seem to be the trump card now. You know, in some ways, it makes you appreciate coaching in this league even more. I think those types of rivalries and games and the spirit of college football is, you know, is still very much alive in the Mid-America Conference.
Is this game really coming along at the perfect time with the tough loss and your opening MAC play with the rival instead of just sort of
I
eating into the schedule?
think any MAC game, this would have heightened, you know, when we talk to our team every year about our goals, it always starts with winning the MAC East to get to Detroit to win the MAC. And I said this earlier this week in our conference call. You know, the challenge in this league is, you know, I think all of us in the Mid-America Conference play challenging non-conference schedules. And our goals, for the non-conference schedules, we want to win as many of those games as we can. You know, some of them can be very challenging games. You want to win as many as you can, but our primary goal is to win the MAC. And I think the challenge in this league is surviving your non-conference schedule, being as successful as you can, but having your team ready to peak and play their best football when you get to MAC play. And you know, we sat in that meeting room Monday with our team, and you know, it was a disappointed meeting room. You know, it was a heartbreaking loss. I thought our kids played extremely hard and played with great effort. You know, there's a lot of things we didn't do well. At no point did you put on that film and you said our guys didn't give us a great effort, and that's down to the final whistle, to the final onside kick. And I'm very proud of the effort our guys played with. Quite frankly, there were times last year, I can't tell you I was proud of our effort. In 3 games this year, I've been very proud of our effort. I think these guys have showed up to play, they've played hard. And that meeting room was very quiet because I think these kids were hurt. And that means they're invested in it. You know, so, but I told them that, you know, there's 7 teams in the MAC East, and 6 of them lost on Saturday, and 4 of them lost in the last 2 minutes of the game. You know, so the 7 meetings going on for MAC East football teams, 6 of them, there was a somber mood. You know, of those 6 teams, who's going to respond? Who's going to have the mental toughness? You know, I'm sure Temple's crushed. They had a shot to knock off Penn State, and Miami lost in the last play of the game, and lost an opportunity to knock off a Big Ten team. And Buffalo lost a game with 23 seconds left. So it happened. It's over with. How do we handle it? Do we come out of this with a resolve and a renewed focus that this is the first MAC game and we want to be 1-0, or are we going to go out there and feel sorry for themselves? Because if we do, nobody else will. And I think college football is all about responding to adversity, getting your team to refocus and play the next game. And we had a super Tuesday practice. There was no, if anybody was at our Tuesday practice, you wouldn't say that was a group that was hanging their head. And we practiced well today, and I think our guys are excited to play this week.
With the rover position, is that kind of a hybrid linebacker, defensive back, and a byproduct of the spread offense?
It's exactly what it is that most teams used to play a 5-2 or a 4-3. And what happened is the spread offense has evolved, and teams had 3 and 4 receivers on the field more. You know, you're not able to play your base. And we, along with a lot of other teams, evolved really into a base defense that involves 5 defensive backs. And that allows you to match up with spread offenses better. And then that rover position, it's a unique fit, that it's, when it's done right, it's a guy that runs as well as a safety and can hit like a linebacker. And certainly Boo Boo meets that description. I mean, Boo Boo's a very good player. And we ask him to do things that we ask our high safeties to do in terms of covering space and covering receivers. And then at times we ask him to fit in the run game like a linebacker would. And I mean, you even see us when at times when Boo Boo and Keith Morgan are out there, that we're in 6 defensive back packages. And that really now, that has existed in the NFL for years. I think in colleges it used to just play your base defense and adjust. And I think the evolution of college football now is so much more of it is personnel-based, substitution-based, matchup-based, and we're no different.
And you mentioned Gage. Does Morgan bring the same thing? I mean, he played a lot of safety here to start with. Did he, I mean, if Boo Boo has to come off, or like you say, use him as the 6th guy, he can do the same things?
Yeah, I mean, very similar. I mean, him and Boo Boo competed for that job, and I think they both pushed each other to play better. And obviously Boo Boo won the job, but Keith Morgan, so far through 3 games, I think I said this, he has been more productive this year as our rover, as our nickel, playing less snaps than he was last year as a starter. He has really played well. And so, and the thing about Keith and Boo Boo is they're both 200-pound guys. So when you put them in there and teams run the football, you're not at a big disadvantage in the run game. But those guys have both, you know, they're both good football players, and Keith has played so far really well. So we're fortunate to have 2 guys of that caliber play that position for us. And they're both very good on special teams.
I have to ask my obligatory injury question. A defensive end that was hurt, have you got a prognosis on him?
He's probably going to be out. I mean, we did not get the MRI back yet, but I would project he'll probably be out for a long time, maybe the year, which is unfortunate. He was really coming on. Brian Thomas had worked very hard, was starting to play a lot and play very well. He's a redshirt freshman, so fortunately he's young, and he'll hopefully come back and be there for the spring. But right now he'll probably be out for a while.
And anyone else?
I'm hoping Kyle Bryant is back in the starting lineup this week. He's looked better, and you know, like I've said earlier, like ideally we wanted Kyle to be our starting left tackle and Ben to be our center. And right now, the way practice is going, it looks like it's tracking in that direction. So, and then Jerry Phillips is still out. He can't kick. And
Lewis and Spencer will both be available if you need them.
Spencer's available and Lewis is available. And this week, I think both of those guys will, I think, you know, there's a much better chance. They were available last week. I would say they were 70, 80%. I think now they're closer to 90, 100. Which Scott Lewis, that's amazing. I mean, that kid is just, what a great work ethic and how resilient, and he's just such a tough kid. So it's amazing he's come back so quickly again.
Anything else? All right, Coach, thanks.
All right, thank you.